What if I told you that the brain is more powerful than the most advanced AI? And it does it all on less energy than this one. With all the hype AI outsmarting us, it is easy to forget that evolution has created a masterpiece right inside our skulls.
What?
So how does the brain actually stack up against artificial intelligence? So today we are diving into 3 battles where the brain and the AI go head to head. So let's go. Hi there, I'm Yvette, a neuroscientist and an author of several neuroscience studies. On this channel I like to dive into all things brain related so as to help us understand the brain better, but also take that knowledge and try to apply it to our lives. So if this sounds something right up your alley, just don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So your brain requires around 20 watts to function, and just for visualization purposes, that is less than what this light bulb requires. And with this tiny amount of power, it keeps you breathing, thinking, creating, and solving problems every second of your day. On the other hand, ChatGPT was last year reported to have consumed 126.8 gigawatt hours to process 78 billion queries. That's massive. ChatGPT requires a lot of power. So for visualization purposes, let's take again the light bulb as an example. So as you can remember, this light bulb uses around the same amount of power that our brain requires to function. However, for ChatGPT, we are getting this light bulb and giving it to every single person in China, around 1.4 billion, and they keep it switched on for the whole year. Yeah, that's basically like the amount of power that ChatGPT requires. But you're probably asking, but is this actually a fair comparison? Because 78 billion queries is quite a lot, right? Like, does our brain even process half of that? And for this question, I would tell you, like, not so fast, buddy. You don't know how much the brain is doing. Back in 2013, a group of Japanese and German scientists used the most powerful supercomputer at the time, of course, with 83,000 processors, and managed to only replicate 1 second of 1% of your brain in 40 minutes. So yeah, that is the story of our brains. So trust me, we're not giving enough credit to our brains. And while it is true that this example is from a decade ago, efforts to simulate the brain in real time are still ongoing and they are still struggling. So regarding this matter, the brain is still king. For example, here are some projects which focus on replicating or simulating the brain. And although they are still trying to achieve their goal, some of these projects gave rise to new technology inspired by the brain, such as neuromorphic computing. So these projects have led to massive advancement in AI, neuroscience, and also computing. But we are nowhere near simulating the brain in real time. Partly, I believe, is because we do not understand the brain fully how it works. Remember, if AI has figured it all out, I would be out of a job. The human brain has had hundreds of millions of years to evolve. And although it does not feel like it in this day and age of AI, our brains still have a competitive advantage in certain aspects, especially when it comes to energy efficiency, but also when it comes to creativity. And this brings us to the second point of this video. AI is generating art, music, and deepfake videos. However, is this really creative, or is AI just really good at remixing? On the other hand, I can ask the same question regarding the human brain. As an example, I can bring this book, which is called Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. And its whole premise is to take what you encounter in your life and you infuse it into your work. This phenomenon is widely recognized, and often creative people have that one place where they can store cool ideas, images, or whatever they have encountered that has inspired them. For Ryan Holiday, an author of several books regarding Stoicism, he calls this place the commonplace book. And for Tiago Forte, he calls it the second brain, and in fact he even has a book about it. And for Leonardo da Vinci, he had his notebook with all the doodles and sketches. So creativity somehow is not about inventing something out of thin air, but it is more about making unexpected connections, a remix rather than a blank canvas. So in this sense, both AI and human creativity work in a similar way by recombining existing ideas. However, the brain still holds an edge over AI regarding this matter, because while both remix ideas, human creativity is deeply intertwined with emotions, experience, and intentionality. AI, on the other hand, operates purely on data patterns without any intrinsic motivation or subjective experience. For example, in the study, humans and AI were given a simple task to find creative uses to everyday objects. the study showed that while AI performed better than humans on average, the most creative and out-of-the-box thinking ideas were actually from humans. And this premise is further solidified in this other study, whereby they wanted to investigate what are the effects on writers when they use AI as an idea generator. And they found that on average, the writers who used AI, they were perceived to have more creative ideas. However, when the researchers used this data to look at the bigger picture, something weird happened. They found that when writers use AI, their stories were more similar to each other. So even though with AI they were perceived more creative, in reality their originality had flattened out. And this to me highlights the importance to not fully rely on AI, and also to let our brains run wild and wonder and create. Yes, it's true, we're gonna create a lot of crappy stuff, but once in a while we're gonna create something truly genius. And isn't that something to preserve? Isn't that something to strive for? Finally, let's talk about the brain's secret superpower. We are now used to ChatGPT. We throw it whatever and it always comes with an answer to our prompt. But let's not confuse this with adaptability. In order for ChatGPT to answer your prompt, it had to be trained on a multitude of data sets. However, the human brain follows what the marketers call the rule of 7. Ever notice how an ad seems to follow you everywhere? Well, that is because marketers know that the brain needs to encounter an idea or a premise at least 7 times before it sticks. It's like your neurons need a couple of practice rounds before they lock it in. Whether it's an ad, a new fact, or someone's name, repetition builds memories. This happens because each time we revisit an idea, the neurons concerned strengthen the connections between them. It is like deepening a trail in the forest every time you walk the same path. So your brain is like speedrunning learning, whereas AI is brute forcing its way through mountains of data. For example, when an AI is trained to recognize a cat, it needs to be shown a multitude of cat images. However, a human toddler can recognize a cat after a few times that it encounters it. So while AI is very powerful, the human brain is quite efficient at it. It doesn't just crunch data, it connects meaning. Humans can adapt to new environments, problems, and also physical injuries. However, once an AI is trained, it is stuck in that version. And if you wanted to learn something new, you need to retrain on a new data set. For example, when you move to a new country, you don't get any instruction manual. You just figure it all out, day by day, piece by piece. AI, on the other hand, can't do that. If an AI translator makes a mistake, it cannot fix it by just having a few more conversations. It needs to be trained on a whole new data set. On this note, even when faced with incomplete or conflicting information, humans are still able to make a decision, while AI still struggles with ambiguity. And this is because us humans are not so comfortable with certain decisions AI makes as to who to save in an accident. And this brings us to the next point, because while the brain can rethink strategies, AI is usually locked in. Usually for us, when a plan is not working, we stop, rethink, and adapt. Such as a chess player, where they change strategies as the game goes along. If we take chess as an example, AI follows programmed rules and doesn't think outside the box. AlphaGo made headlines for creative chess moves. However, this wasn't exactly adapting how a human brain does it. It was simply running probabilities within predefined rules. While I was researching for this video, a particular question kept cropping up, and that is, while we are evolving AI, will AI eventually also evolve us? The lines between humans and machines are already blurring. We already are using the human brain as a blueprint to advance current technology and make it more efficient. And as we refine and advance AI, we will be more inclined to merge with it. And if this sounds like science fiction, well, let's talk about it in another video. And if you like today's video, you might also like this one over here, where I go over the scientific literature of how frequency can help in Alzheimer's disease. And with this, thanks for making it this far, and see you next time. Ciao!